$1,000? Yes, you have heard right. $20,000. Have you ever looked at an old whole penny and wondered whether it could be worth far more than its 1 cent face value? What if a small Lincoln wheat cent sitting inside an old collection, coin jar, or forgotten box could actually attract serious attention from collectors? Today, we are taking a closer look at the 1957 D. Lincoln wheat cent. At first glance, it may look like just another old American penny. But when you understand its history, its condition, its preservation, and the details collectors examine, you begin to realize that not every example is equal. And stay with me until the end, because the specific condition of the coin we are discussing today carries a valuation that may surprise you. This is Minted Million Coins, where we bring you fresh, rare coin discoveries, valuable pennies, old American coins, hidden treasures, and fascinating coin collecting stories every day. The Lincoln wheat cent is one of the most famous coins in American history. The series began in 1909, and for decades, Americans carried these small copper coins in their pockets, used them in everyday transactions, placed them in drawers, and sometimes saved them in collections. The 1957 D. Lincoln wheat cent comes from the final years of the famous wheat reverse design. The D mint mark tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. That small letter may look insignificant, but to collectors, it is an important part of the coin's identity. The date tells us when the coin was produced, while the mint mark tells us where it was made. The coin itself was struck from the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of this period. It has the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the famous 2 wheat ears on the reverse. But the most important question is not simply, is this coin old? The real question is, how well did this coin survive? For more than 6 decades, these coins have experienced everything. Some were heavily circulated, some were scratched, some were damaged by moisture, some were cleaned or polished, others were simply thrown into jars and forgotten. But a small number survived in much better condition, and this is where the story becomes much more interesting. When collectors examine a 1957 D. Lincoln wheat cent, they may look closely at the portrait of Lincoln, the hair details, the cheek, the jaw, the surrounding fields, the lettering, the wheat ears, the rim, the color, and the overall surface quality. Tiny marks can matter, scratches can matter, spots can matter, the original color can matter. Even the quality of the coin strike can matter. 2 coins can have exactly the same date and mint mark, but their condition can be dramatically different. One may have spent years in circulation and show heavy wear. Another may have been carefully preserved and still display much sharper details and more attractive surfaces. To a casual observer, both are simply 1957 D pennies. To a serious collector, they may be completely different coins in terms of desirability. Copper coins can also change appearance over time. Some become brown, some develop reddish-brown tones. While exceptional examples may preserve a strong original red appearance. This is one reason collectors pay close attention to color and surface quality. However, there is one extremely important warning. Never clean an old coin. Do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Do not use household chemicals to make it shine. A coin that looks brighter after cleaning may actually become less desirable to serious collectors because the original surface has been damaged. Natural mint luster and artificial shine are not the same thing. Experienced collectors know the difference. Now, let's talk about rarity. A coin does not always need to have an extremely low mintage to become interesting. Sometimes the real rarity is finding an example in exceptional condition. Millions of coins may have been produced, but decades of circulation can dramatically reduce the number of coins that remain in outstanding condition. That is why collectors search through old collections, wheat penny albums, inherited coin boxes, and forgotten jars. They are not necessarily looking for just any old penny. They are looking for the exceptional survivor. The coin with strong details. The coin with attractive surfaces. The coin with impressive preservation. The coin that stands apart from the ordinary examples. Collectors should also be careful when examining possible errors or unusual features. Not every strange mark is a mint error. A scratch can look unusual. Damage can create strange shapes. A feature that appears to be doubling may simply be. Have you ever looked at an old Lincoln penny and wondered if there could be something special about it that almost everyone else has missed? Because today, we are looking at a 1969 S. Lincoln Memorial Cent. At first glance, it may appear to be just another old American penny. But when you begin examining the date, the San Francisco mint mark, the surfaces, the color, the condition, and the details hidden within the design, the story can become much more interesting. And stay with me until the end, because the specific condition of the coin we are discussing today carries a value that may completely change the way you look at old Lincoln cents. This is Minted Million Coins, where we bring you fresh, rare coin discoveries, valuable pennies, old American coins, hidden treasures, and fascinating coin collecting stories every single day. The 1969 S. Lincoln Memorial Cent comes from a fascinating period in American history. During this era, the United States was experiencing enormous changes in technology, culture, and society. At the same time, millions of Lincoln cents were being produced and entering everyday circulation across the country. The Lincoln cent was already one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln had been appearing on the 1-cent coin for decades, and by this time, the famous Lincoln Memorial design had replaced the earlier wheat reverse. On the front of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, one of the most important monuments connected with American history. And there is something fascinating about this coin. The small S mint mark tells us that this particular coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint. That tiny letter may look insignificant to someone who is not familiar with coin collecting, but to collectors, the mint mark is an important part of the coin's identity and history. The coin was made from the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of this era, consisting primarily of copper with a smaller amount of zinc. Over time, the appearance of copper can change depending on how the coin was stored and handled. Some coins become dark brown. Some develop reddish-brown tones. And some well-preserved examples can retain a much more attractive original appearance. This is why serious collectors do not simply look at the date. They examine the entire coin. They study Lincoln's portrait. They examine the hair, cheek, jaw, and surrounding fields. They look closely at the lettering. They study the rim. They inspect the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And they look for marks, scratches, spots, discoloration, and signs of cleaning. Because when a coin is in a higher condition, every detail becomes more important. A coin that has spent decades in circulation may show heavy wear. It may have scratches from contact with other coins. It may have lost its original luster. It may have been exposed to moisture or chemicals. But a coin that was carefully preserved can look dramatically different. It may have sharper details, cleaner surfaces, more attractive color, stronger original luster, and fewer distracting marks. This is one of the most important lessons in coin collecting. Two coins can have the same year and the same mint mark, but their desirability can be completely different because their conditions are different. And this is where condition rarity becomes important. A coin may have been produced in large numbers, but truly exceptional examples can become much harder to find after decades of circulation. Millions of coins may have entered the economy, but many were damaged, many were lost, many were cleaned, many were exposed to harsh environments, and many simply did not survive in excellent condition. That is why collectors search through old coin collections, albums, jars, boxes, and inherited collections. They are looking for the exceptional survivor, the coin that somehow escaped decades of damage, the coin that still has impressive details, the coin with attractive surfaces, the coin that makes a collector stop and take a second look. There is another important reason the 1969 S. Lincoln cent attracts attention. Collectors are also interested in possible varieties and mint errors. The 1969 S issue is especially famous because of the extremely rare 1969 S double-die obverse variety. However, this is where collectors must be extremely careful. Not every 1969 S Lincoln cent is the famous double-die variety. A genuine double die is different from ordinary damage or machine doubling. A scratch can create an unusual line. Damage can make lettering appear strange. Machine doubling can create a flat, shelf-like appearance. So if you believe you have discovered an unusual feature, do not immediately assume that it is a rare error. Study it carefully. Have you ever looked at a modern Lincoln penny and thought, this is probably just 1 cent? Well, what if that assumption is exactly what causes people to overlook potentially interesting coins? Today, we are taking a closer look at the 2006 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this coin may appear too modern to be considered a serious collectible. But in the world of coin collecting, age is not the only thing that matters. Sometimes the real story is hidden in the condition. Sometimes it is hidden in the mint mark. Sometimes it is hidden in an unusual feature. And sometimes, a coin that millions of people ignore can become extremely interesting when the right details come together. So stay with me until the end, because today we are going to explore the history, design, composition, condition, collector interest, possible errors, and the details that could make a 2006 Lincoln penny worth a much closer look. And finally, we will reveal the current market value of the specific condition being discussed in today's video. This is Minted Million Coins, where we bring you fresh, rare coin discoveries, valuable pennies, American coin history, hidden treasures, and fascinating coin collecting stories every single day. The Lincoln cent is one of the most recognizable coins in American history. For generations, Americans have carried Lincoln cents in their pockets, placed them in jars, saved them in collections, and sometimes completely forgotten about them. The 2006 Lincoln penny belongs to the modern era of American coinage, but that does not mean every example is identical. Millions of coins may have been produced, but every individual coin has its own journey. One coin may have spent years circulating through thousands of hands. Another may have been placed into a collection almost immediately after leaving the mint. One may have scratches, dents, discoloration, or heavy wear. Another may still preserve sharp details, attractive surfaces, and impressive condition. And this is where collectors begin to pay attention. The first thing collectors examine is the coin's identity. What is the exact date? What mint mark does it carry? Was it produced at the Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, or another facility? That small mint mark can be an important part of the coin's history. To someone unfamiliar with coin collecting, a tiny letter may appear insignificant. But to collectors, that letter can tell the story of where the coin was produced. The 2006 Lincoln cent continues the famous Lincoln design that has remained one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. On the obverse, we see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. His image has appeared on the 1-cent coin for more than a century, making the Lincoln cent one of the most historic and familiar coins in the United States. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design continued to represent one of America's most important historical landmarks. The design is instantly recognizable. But the real question is not simply whether the coin is recognizable. The real question is how well that individual coin survived. The 2006 Lincoln penny was made from the modern composition used for cents of this era. Unlike the older bronze Lincoln cents, modern cents contain a copper-plated zinc composition. This difference is important because the metal composition affects the coin's weight, appearance, and behavior when damaged. The copper-colored outer layer gives the coin its familiar appearance. But if the surface becomes damaged, the underlying metal can sometimes become visible. This is one reason collectors carefully inspect the edges and surfaces of modern Lincoln cents. The composition also means that environmental damage can be important. Moisture, chemicals, scratches, and improper storage can affect the appearance of the coin. A coin that has been exposed to harsh conditions may develop discoloration or surface problems, but a carefully preserved coin can remain remarkably attractive. This brings us to one of the most important factors in modern coin collecting: condition. Many people assume that because a coin is relatively modern, it cannot be valuable. But collectors know that condition can make an enormous difference. A coin that has been heavily circulated may show scratches, wear, dents, and surface damage. A coin that has been carefully preserved may display much sharper details and cleaner surfaces. The difference between an ordinary circulated coin and an exceptional high-condition example can be dramatic. Collectors examine Lincoln's hair. They study the cheek and jaw. They inspect the lettering. They examine the open fields around the portrait. They look at the rim. On the reverse, they examine the Lincoln Memorial and the surrounding details. They look for sharpness. They look for marks. They look for discoloration. They look for signs of damage. And they look for anything unusual that might deserve additional investigation. The higher the condition of a coin, the more important small details can become. A mark that might be ignored on an ordinary circulated penny can become much more important on a high-grade example. This is why collectors do not simply ask, "What year is this coin?" They ask, "How well did this coin survive?" That question can completely change the story. Now let's talk about errors and unusual features. This is one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting. A genuine mint error can sometimes make a coin much more interesting to collectors. Errors can occur during different stages of the minting process. A coin may be struck incorrectly. A planche may have an unusual problem. A die may create a distinctive feature. A coin may have an unusual strike or production characteristic. But collectors must be very careful. Not every unusual mark is a valuable mint error. A scratch may look like doubling. A damaged surface may appear to have an unusual shape. A coin may have experienced damage after leaving the mint. This is why serious collectors study unusual features carefully. They compare the coin with known examples. They use magnification. They study reliable references. And when the feature appears significant, professional authentication may be important. The key lesson is simple. Do not assume. Investigate. Because the difference between a genuine mint-made feature and damage that occurred after production can completely change the story of the coin. Another important factor is preservation. Many people make the mistake of trying to clean their coins. They see an old penny and think, "I can make this look better." But cleaning can damage the original surface. Polishing can create unnatural shine. Chemicals can alter the metal. Scrubbing can leave scratches. And once the original surface has been damaged, it cannot simply be returned to its original condition. So if you believe you have an interesting 2006 Lincoln penny, protect it. Do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Do not use household chemicals. Handle it carefully. Keep it in a suitable holder. And examine it under good lighting. A coin surface can reveal a great deal about its history. The color can tell you about its preservation. The details can tell you about its condition. The marks can tell you about its journey. And the unusual features can sometimes provide clues about how the coin was produced. Now imagine two 2006 Lincoln pennies sitting side by side. The first coin has spent years in circulation. It has scratches, contact marks, wear, and dull surfaces. The second coin has been carefully preserved. It has sharper details, cleaner surfaces, stronger appearance, and much better overall condition. Both coins have the same basic date, but collectors may view them very differently. This is one of the most important lessons in numismatics. The date alone does not determine everything. The mint mark matters. The condition matters. The surfaces matter. The originality matters. The possible errors or varieties matter. And collector demand matters. This is why collectors continue examining coins that many other people completely ignore. Sometimes the value is not immediately obvious. Sometimes the most important feature is extremely small. Sometimes a coin has been sitting in a collection for years without anyone realizing that it deserves closer attention. And now, after examining the history, the Lincoln design, the modern composition, the importance of condition, the role of mint marks, possible errors, and the characteristics collectors look for, We finally reached the moment everyone has been waiting for. The specific 2006 Lincoln penny in the condition featured in today's video carries a current market value of, and this is exactly why you should never automatically dismiss a coin simply because it looks modern. The value of a coin can depend on the specific example, its condition, its preservation, its mint mark, its authenticity, its unusual features, and the demand from collectors. A coin that appears ordinary at first glance can sometimes become much more interesting when examined carefully. So if you have 2006 Lincoln pennies in your collection, do not simply throw them into a box and forget about them. Look at the date, check the mint mark, examine the surfaces, study the details, look for unusual characteristics, and protect anything that appears to be in exceptional condition, because the next coin you discover may have been sitting quietly in your collection for years, waiting for someone to look at it more carefully. This is Minted Million Coins, bringing you fresh, rare coin discoveries, valuable pennies, old American coins, hidden treasures, and fascinating numismatic history every single day. Subscribe to Minted Million Coins and join us as we continue searching for the coins that people often overlook. Because sometimes, the smallest coin in your collection can carry the biggest surprise. Keep looking, keep learning, keep checking your old coins, because you never know what story may be hiding inside the next penny you pick up. This is Minted Million Coins, and the hunt for hidden American treasure continues.